Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. I'm Michael, and Andrew is coming back to the show after what, 2 years? I think?
Has it
No,
been? I don't think it's been
not
that
that
long,
that
has
long.
it?
We did, oh right, we did 98, 99 of the Disney movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now there are no Disney movies to do. We're kind of on hiatus with the normal show. So Andrew is joining us for the Perfect Concert Playlist, our little spin-off show where we pick three artists that are very similar, and we say, hey, what if time didn't matter, money, all that stuff? If you had a dream concert, who would you book? And what are the songs they're going to play? If you're booking them and you're paying them, what do you want them to play? So we go through like our opener, our mid, and our closer for our set list. And the reason why I really wanted to go with Andrew on this one, and it's going to be like a little series, is hip hop. It has not been covered on the show just yet. We're about to hit the mid 80s on the show, and I know hip hop existed before this, but Andrew, would you say like 85, 86 is really when it's breaking through, it's going platinum, the audiences are going beyond just the cult, it's now becoming mainstream.
Yeah, it's definitely around 84. I know Run DMC obviously is like the most popular band slash act as far as hip hop, more mainstream. But a lot of people were doing MCing and people were playing beats and streets and records and things like that, like just getting the vibe and it making its way to an actual radio was going on well in the early 80s.
But like MTV, I think is the real like, okay, now it's nationwide. Now it's going to the Billboard Top 40. So people outside of like big cities are now being exposed to this world.
Yeah, and of course the epicenter is New York City.
Yeah.
That's where everything originated from, and with it being as big of a city, you get the most exposure with that as well.
Yeah, and these all three of these acts are from the biggest label at the time. This was like the epicenter of everything that was huge in hip hop, and that's Def Jam. So I who would you say would you say that Russell Simmons, even though like he has questionable business tactics, it maybe might be the most important hip hop guy of the 80s?
Oh yeah, he's influential and involved in all of these acts, like in some sort of way, and in not just with obviously the business acumen of it, but just influencing them.
Yeah. All right. So my opener is going to be Eric B and Rakim. I really thought that I would have more songs from them that I wanted to add to the list. Well, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I did just get done reading Rakim's biography, which was absolutely fascinating. Like his rise, his struggles working with Eric B, and then trying to go solo afterwards. And he's just kind of cut his own path the last 20 years, doing going underground, independent label stuff.
Yeah, the the both of them obviously have to be doing the beats and Rakim doing the lyrics and everything like that. They're a big dynamic duo. Um, for the time, and I know even in they're influential, like in just today's music, in listening to everything. For me, I hear a lot of the sampling done in today's music and some underground hip hop today from a lot of these songs, and then even just some of the lyrics. Somebody new's take on it, or
Yeah.
a lot of the lyrics you've heard in newer songs.
Well, it's interesting is a lot of hip hop artists at the time were very in your face, almost yelling their lyrics. But then in like 87, you have Eric B. and Rakim, and then you have EPMD, who were changing how samples are done, how the flow goes, and just the fact that it was like, hey, let's take a breath, step back, and really like absorb these lyrics.
Yeah, a lot of the earlier stuff to come out. I know, and we'll probably see a little bit different on this, but a lot of the early stuff that came out is a lot of that boom bap, a lot of heavy bass, a lot of hi hat, and a lot of in a lot of the beats. And I think because you have so much of the bass and hi hat, that really, the casual listener, like that's the first thing that pops out. Like a lot of these lyricists or a lot of these rappers like need to almost project their voice and yell in that sense to kind of get over the bass and the hi
Yeah.
hats. But
Well, like
uh,
just the little parties they would have, maybe the sound system, like the PA system for the mic wasn't that strong, so they really had to project to get over that.
yeah, yeah, and like for me. like a lot of, and we'll discuss this, but a lot of, from what I hear, like especially the early part of the decade, it's for me, like it all sounds very similar and the same. There's no distinguishing characters between a lot of the songs, but it's because a lot of those beats kind of just follow the same kind of cookie cutter,
Yeah.
um, formula that works and that grab people's attention at first. And it's great though because you see it evolve as you go from '84 to '85, and then you get into '87 and '89, and it's completely different.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the only genre I know that completely changes every 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and you got a lot, like I said, in '84 and '85, a lot of the Run DMC, like a lot of that really heavy bass and like yelling, and you hear it in a lot of earlier like LL Cool J stuff, and then by the time like '89 comes, everything just mellows out,
right.
pretty crazy.
And the samples get much more complicated. I feel like the way that EPMD and Beastie Boys with Paul's Boutique really changed how an album is designed.
Oh yeah, like it's like one of my favorite things to do, like when I'm scrolling through, like kind of brain dead through Instagram, is getting to a page where they actually show you how things are sampled.
Okay.
And in some of these songs, like it's ridiculous how how far it's come and how much the pitch is adjusted, how much it's stretched out or compacted and all that stuff, and things get switched around, and it makes for some really awesome music, and it's very very interesting the way that a lot of these producers and DJs just cut things up and just put them there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I got way off track. Erik B and Rakim's playlist. I'm gonna have them opening up with "Keep the Beat." Kind of just like warming the audience up, getting them grooving, and then start going into my favorite song of theirs is "Know the Ledge" from the movie Juice. The classic "Don't Sweat the Technique," "Follow the Leader," "I Ain't No Joke," and "Paid in Full." Look, I know those are obvious choices, but those are my choices.
Yeah, great choices. I chose a little different, but we'll get to that eventually.
All right, who is your opener?
So my opener, as probably maybe a shock to you. I know when we were first discussing everything, my opener is going to be Run DMC.
Uh,
Yeah, I know. Obviously, as popular as they are and as influential as they are, I feel like a lot of their '80s stuff just really sounds the same. A lot of it's really hard to distinguish sometimes. Um, with some songs kind of getting lost and muddied because of the similarities of all the other ones.
right, it's like a
Uh,
Ramones album. Which one is this
yeah,
again? It's the same one as before.
yeah, and for me, like sometimes when I hear the first few notes of a song, like you kind of already like it clicks, and I've noticed listening to Run DMC, it's like okay, wait, let me take another 30 seconds to listen in here, like oh okay, like all right, this is what it is, or waiting for the lyrics to come on until like oh okay, yeah, there we go. Um, that's what I remember.
All right, so what makes your list?
So I did I stayed in a lot of the '80s, so '84, '85. So for Run DMC, I've got like Hard Times. I think that's just the epitome of hip hop. I mean, it came from Hard Times and people expressing those things. So
Yeah.
I've got that on there. I've got Sucker MCs. I've got, of course, It's Like That.
Oh yeah, a lot of these are just absolute classics from the first two albums. It kind of falls off after that second album.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like if they kind of lost their way a little bit because, like I said, a lot of these sound pretty similar and the same. So I think the inspiration kind of just falls off in that sense, and
Right.
they just are making things to make things. Um, but after that, I've got It's Not Funny, and then Daryl and Joe.
Okay. So they are my mid. So I'm gonna go ahead with my list, and a lot of these are gonna be obvious, but there's a few in here that might surprise you. So I'm gonna open up and look. It's cliche, but Walk This Way. Obviously, I'm not gonna get Aerosmith to show up for one song, but we'll just have a sample of the guitar.
Yeah, and
I can't.
one of their obviously like most like popular songs. Like
Yeah.
the great thing about it is it's like one of the first times you hear rock and hip hop kind of like meld into one.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it in Blondie, but that's more new wave. That was a soft new wave. So yeah, really, it's the first time people are like, wait, you can combine these two completely different genres, and it flat out works. It's because
Yeah.
Steven Tyler's presentation of the original lyrics is almost rap.
Yeah, and you know it's something that just like you said, it just works. It sounds really awesome. You obviously hear it in a lot of different ways. Like you hear it a little bit later on, like Public Enemy and Anthrax, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
with their songs. So
King of Rock, it's tricky. Can you rock it like this? You be illin'. Hard Time, which that might be their best song because it's the most honest. It's not the one that's trying to sell singles. It's not trying to get on MTV. It is, a real green. This is what they should have stuck to instead of trying to make pop, almost like rabbity rip rap rabbit and rap songs. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
and that's the reason why they're my opener. Like I a little bit of background on me and my like love for hip hop. I primarily listen to a lot of underground stuff.
yeah,
A lot of things I listen to nowadays, like it's not mainstream, it's really underground, something with the message and something to kind of sink your teeth into. And like really the genre obviously came from people struggling. Like my favorite hands down song is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Um, you know, like don't push me because I'm close to the,
yeah.
you know. So it's just it's something that has come from people struggling and going through the day to day things and not necessarily the glamour. So for me, Run DMC epitomizes like the top of glamour. Like they're very glamorous, they're very polished, they're very singing about things that I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge about. But
Right, right.
yeah,
Um, Down with the King was their comeback in '93. They tried to go gangster, I think, in '90 to compete with the new, like NWA making so much money.
gangster rap. Yeah,
And then they kind of lost their way. But Down with the King is them finally like, look, we are religious. We can kick ass and we can make a really great rap song, but we can also talk about our faith in God. Um, and I really enjoy that song. Sadly, they didn't have another hit after that. That was just like almost like a fluke. Mary Mary, it's like that. And the greatest Christmas song of all time, guys, since it's almost Christmas time in Hollis, Queens.
getting close to there. Yeah,
God, I love that song so stinking much.
yeah. No, my Adidas.
I trimmed it down. I don't want to add that one.
Uh,
That one seems so frivolous. I don't know if I want. It's like what's the
it's a
band?
billboard.
There's another band that sings a song called "I'm a Nike Head." What the hell's their? I can't remember what they're called, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna sing some. I'm not gonna have them play some brain dead, frivolous little song. But all right, who is your mid?
So my mid is LL Cool J.
Okay.
A lot of his early stuff was great. Um, the 85 his debut album, My Radio 85 sounded very similar to a lot of the Run DMC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But had like he's a young kid that has a lot of attitude and a lot of like swagger that I really like. I think it's the other side of hip hop where people can rap about their swagger or be confident with certain things, and really lyrically, like nowadays it may be like a little corny, but I thought his lyrics were really clever for being so young. So he's my mid. Again, I stuck with like the 80s, so I've got Can't Live Without My Radio. Of course, that's like the very first song. Um, I Can Give You More, which you don't hear this a lot in hip hop, but it's a love song.
Yeah, I struggled at first because when I played, instead of going to the albums, I made the mistake of going to the biggest singles. And I just kept going, wow, that's a lot of sappy top 40 collaboration kind of stuff, and I wasn't really feeling it. But then once you start digging in past that, I decided to go back, just listen to the whole album. And
Yeah.
he really comes into his own around 89, and for the next,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, 4 albums, they're really rock solid.
Yeah, and like I said, like the first his debut album, he sounds a lot like Run DMC. A lot of the songs and everything sounding the same. I forget his producer's name. Cut.
Was it Rick Rubin? No, it wasn't Rick Rubin. That was with Run DMC. I can't remember either. I remember
Yeah.
reading into it, and it was someone I didn't expect. Shit.
It was his. his name's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sure it'll come
Okay.
out, but pretty much like his producer, like that first album, like sounds very similar and like almost like a direct rip from Run DMC, but obviously they're still kind of getting used to like their identity or what they're going to be. So and then by his second album, like he's completely evolved. Like the beats are a lot different. They're mellower. Like there's melody to it.
Yeah.
It's a really really great like transition, and like you can see the growth that he has like as he's going through it. But anyway, like back to the song. So he's one of the first rappers I think that can be like have a love song, like be like in tune with that part as a man, like kind of be like a ladies man, like the songs of him spinning game and trying to lull women and impress them. And then of course there's songs about his lyrics and how like he'll destroy a lyricist and anybody else that tries to do it. So he's one of my like as far as 80s, one of my favorite because he can do that. Like there's not a lot of versatility with a lot of people that can do that.
Right.
Like today, one of my all-time favorite hip hop artists is Murs, and
absolutely.
He looks up to LL Cool J, and he's like one of the only rappers that can talk about love and being vulnerable, but then at the same time, like he has a song about people being able to bully people or gangster stuff as well. So he's very unique in that sense. So after I Can Give You More, of course, Rock the Bells, probably one of his best songs. That song is sampled a lot too. You hear that in a lot of today's stuff. So that's great. And then for the next few songs, go to his second album, The Breakthrough, which was, I think, really awesome. Talks about the hard times. 1987, I Need Love.
Yeah, that's him testing the waters, see if people accept it. And look, it worked for him. And it, like you said, it doesn't work for everybody. It helps that LL Cool J is not a bad-looking man.
Yeah, and it's funny, like when I first heard of LL Cool J, it was like him with Mariah Carey, like as a young kid, and to find out that he raps, like that guy's not a rapper. And then you go back to these earlier songs and listen, and you hear I Need Love. I'm like, oh, that's the LL I know. Like that's what I've grown up with. Like so. I Need Love obviously is a huge one. It's I think one of the first songs like you hear of his that doesn't have a completely crazy like bass line.
Mm-hmm.
It's just melody, but it's great. It's good. It's a vulnerable side of things. And then going to 89, Dropping Them, I think is a really cool like diss track to other people trying to rap as well. And then of course going back to Cali.
Yeah, that's one of the first time I had heard of him. My friends were singing. I was like, "What is that you're doing?" And like, "You don't know who LL Cool J is?" I was like, "No." And they're like, "You got to hear this."
Yeah, and it's a great song. I mean, obviously, I live in California, so it's almost something you grow up with as far as an anthem. Being younger, but yeah, it's a great song.
All right, any more on the list?
No, those are all the LL Cool J ones.
Okay.
Like I said, I kept everything to the 80s.
All right. I went a little bit into the 90s, and then one from just like, I think last year. So LL is my closer. Oddly enough, LL Cool J is the first hip hop CD I ever purchased. It was Mama Said Knock You Out. Before that, I had done tapes. Do you remember the first hip hop album you got?
The first hip hop album I got, I think, was Eminem's Marshall Mathers.
Okay. Oh yeah, you know what? We did talk about that. We talked about your first CD. I totally flaked on that.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's funny because I somehow got it.
Yeah.
Even though there's a parental advisory sticker on it. I think I was in junior high.
Oh, okay.
When you want the music, you find creative ways on how to obtain it.
It's not technically a hip hop album, but my parents took me to go see the two Breakin' movies. I think it was at the drive, and they were doing a double feature. And so they got me the soundtrack like immediately after that. And some of it's just like your normal everyday top 40 pop stuff, but there's a couple of tracks and there was like Ice-T is on there. And I was like, this is really great. What is this? I didn't know what rap was yet. I think that technically might be my first one, but then it's gonna be like He's a DJ, I'm the Rapper from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like 3 years later.
Yeah.
All right, so with LL, I'm starting off with his original Murdergram, and then I'm going a little something, straight from Queens. Actually, you know what? A lot of this is from the '90s. Did I cheat? um, straight from Queens, pink cookies in a plastic bag being crushed by building. Look, that's a long ass title. I just wrote pink cookies in a plastic bag, but I love that beat. There's a
Yeah.
couple other songs I've heard that have had that sample.
Yeah.
All we got left is the beat. Jinglin' Baby, which I think is kind of like his first. It's a love song, but it's more dancey. It's a little like he's starting to mix in like, okay, well I can have someone sing the chorus, and
Yeah.
that's really catchy. He knew how to get the earworms going.
Yeah.
But his badass just Mama Said Knock You Out. He came out and just fucking like just made everybody aware. I am not a child anymore. I am meant to be taken seriously. Let's get the bucket hat off my head. And let's deal with me being a grown up.
Yeah. And then I remember the video too. Like, I didn't realize how buff he was.
Yeah. His collaboration with Busta Rhymes, Starsky and Hutch. I can't remember what year that's from. I want to feel like it's like 2004.
Yeah.
Dropping them. Nitro, then wrapping it up with Going Back to Cali, and then finishing it up with Murdergram Do. I love that track. I can't believe I looked up the album sales because that was really hot for a couple weeks. Everybody on the internet was talking about that song because Eminem's in it with them, and he reminded the world that he can still rap. And I saw first week's album sales 7,000 copies. What? That's when a hot album comes out. The state of album sales is in dire straits.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. Like, because I obviously like I listen to a lot of like you know Pandora or Spotify, and like to some artists, like you have to play their songs like over 3,000 times in order for them to make any kind of money on
Oh
it. So
man,
it's like ridiculously crazy. And even like to buy albums, obviously, like nowadays, since we're in the digital age, like I'm sure it was worse then, when like you have to have a physical copy, or money's going into plastic or something in order for you to get it in somebody's hands. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, a lot of bands can't afford it though, so they're doing Bandcamp. So at least with independent artists, they get more money that way.
Yeah, and a lot of like, and I mean, for anybody else listening to, like, if you have a favorite artist that's putting out stuff, if they have anything in Bandcamp, like that's the one way you can support them and continue to have them, make something that you love.
Yeah. All right, so your closer, Erik B. and Rakim. What's your playlist?
Yep, Erik B. and Rakim. So for me, this was obviously a huge step away from the mainstream. Naturally, that's how I am, so that's why they're my number one. But everything from the beats, from the melodies, from the lyrics, everything this is so synonymous with how underground hip hop has come to be, and what I know it as and what I love about it. So for them opening, it's going to be Beats for the Listeners. I know that's literally just Erik B. on a beat, but I think it's a great intro. Like just having the mood change and it just be pretty much all melodies and the beat just to kind of get people warmed up. After that, I have the R. I've got I Ain't No Joke. I Know You Got Soul. As the rhyme goes on, Lyrics of Fury, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Put Your Hands Together, and then another beat only song to the listeners, and then of course Paid in Full.
It's so interesting. Is like there was a period where the DJ was the star, not the MC.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of the early stuff, like it's a lot of the early stuff as far as people enjoying it, like in the streets, it was all just what the DJ can do, how they can scratch and the melodies and bring everything together, and really like the MCs were just going yeah, like 1 2 or whatever, like, or even like talking like, oh hey, that's the DJ, this is the DJ right here, or it's so funny how the roles have reversed, or
Right,
have
right.
reversed since the beginning of that. But
Nobody talks about the DJ anymore. It's very strange.
oh yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of today's music that it's so produced, and it's not necessarily a DJ anymore. Which is unfortunate, because I think the DJs, they have their own presence and personalities, and it shines through. Some of my favorite duos are the DJ and hip hop artists. Atmosphere, Idea and Abilities. Um, One of my favorite DJs. You know, just listening to it and then hearing them scratch and having a beat breakdown.
Yeah. Well, Jurassic
It's
5,
very,
Jurassic 5 does
okay.
not work without DJ Newmark. It just
Oh yeah,
doesn't, or Crafty Cuts.
yeah,
You try to get 5 guys in a group to gel with the music, you need a good DJ.
yeah. And I mean, and obviously, like, even right, like, you know, it's something that's been lost, especially like with today's music. Like, since it is produced and polished, like, there isn't like a duo. There's not one guy doing the DJ sets or
Yeah, yeah.
creating everything, and then another guy just doing the lyrics. You only see that in underground, but I mean, I think it's something that's very missed. You've got a lot of producers on songs nowadays just kind of screaming their name. You got like the DJ Khaled's and stuff like that, or I know, like, Kendrick Lamar obviously uses like mustard, so you hear.
That's why it's. See, I haven't caught up on music in like a decade, and I saw a guy wearing a shirt that said mustard, but he's screaming the word mustard,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What on earth does that mean?" It was just
What's going
yesterday.
Yeah, it's a DJ thing, same
Okay.
thing, like Little John, he's got his
Oh yeah.
catchphrases. He's a producer, has his catchphrases. Jermaine Dupri, so that a lot of that, I feel like producers are kind of men for hire now, and they're not just like in a group where it's just two guys just kind of doing it all together.
Yeah, I missed that. All right, so that is the first episode of our journey down the history of hip hop. Yes, I know we skipped the first few years of hip hop, but I feel like this is the place where to start, where it really broke through, that the world was paying attention and the albums were selling. Now, are there some pitfalls through the day, as we go through this? Probably at some point we're going to have to reckon with MC Hammer and people like that.
Oh yeah,
but to ignore them is also an insult to their contribution to hip hop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Andrew, thank you for this first episode, and I hope everybody enjoys it, and have a good one.
Thank you.